Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open. You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray. Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand? He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask. Yep, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. All spades. The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that, your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie? Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task. Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over, but an old cliché in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another. You'll sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety. Deepest desires, your greatest wish, heaven, Big Rock Candy Mountain, El Dorado, the promised land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine. Well, I don't know where that is. Supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. searching for the same thing. It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that. I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you'll come back. Go on your way, seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you, "Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?" You're about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. "You know these girls?" they demand. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. "If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash," sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. Little eyes blink back at you from inside the bundle. The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore, but I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding.
You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere. You don't see another soul for miles. They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore. Just when the fishing is going to be good. He taps great, black, thick globs of spent tobacco. Another year of this town being here, he replies, letting a grin spread across his face. If the seagulls came, that means enough fish to keep it in place. the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. A confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. "Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit." You decide to seek a second opinion. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. "Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes." A longshoreman watches stevedores load up a crane. "Yellow ribbon? That woman's dead. Ghost dead. Buddies of mine, they've seen her all over the Atlantic for decades now." You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open with a daunting staircase before you. At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door. "Looks like we got a visitor." Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. "Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door." Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. "I always behave myself." He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead. After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand. "Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in." Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. "Tea?" he offers, hoisting a teapot. "A few years." The tall one sits on the sofa, wrapping his arm casually around the other lighthouse keeper. "5, says the smaller, but by no means small, man. "That long? Time flies. We traveled together before that. You must have some good stories from the road, huh?" You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes? There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave. A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start shrieking at one another. The man with the truck leaps into the street.
"Brother!"
he shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle.
"Brother!"
he screams. They embrace in the road.
30 years!
Hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him.
No, 32!
Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling.
"Take a photo of us!"
The driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck. The long-lost brothers pose in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby wave you out of the road, each brother presses a coin into your hand. When the traffic disperses, you realize they overpaid you quite a shocking amount. This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost. Bright light crests around one corner, a car approaching. Compelled by the cold and foreboding night, you don't question it as you drag your bones into the cab. But you realize immediately how strange the vehicle is. It's a sleek thing, like a shallow parabola gliding over the street. Where to? He asks. You have to stop and think. Eventually, you name Boston Common, the only landmark you know in this town. He peels off silently. You feel the car move before you hear the engine. He takes you through ever odder streets, flanked by painfully clean, gleaming buildings and signage for businesses you don't recognize. Even the air seems different. It doesn't smell so sharply of gasoline and coal. Eventually, you come to a stop. The fare's in glowing numbers above his dashboard. It's much too high. Surely a mistake. No charge, he insists. You look like you need a break. And then you find yourself on the curb at Boston Common, under thick moonlight, in a city much as you'd left it before.
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is. This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn. These here are my venturing companions. Cass is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip. I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any? Life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that? Jeez. Traveling, I sure do love it, and I've seen some pretty things out there. I seen serpent trains passing on a green and gold sea. I seen mountains so tall and forests so thick, nobody will ever tame 'em. I once seen a bunch of townies skinny dipping in a river. That sure was something. I seen terrible things too. Biblical floods and starving folks, and black blizzards full of dust. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those. Whoa, quite a story, stranger. Authority, bosses and such. I ain't nobody's little Angelina if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories. Get too much out of tales that are so cheerful. Not enough excitement for me. Well, I don't know a whole lot about the past, but they say there's an Injun grave around these parts. Say it's haunted and full up with angry spirits. I used to love hearing stories of cowboys and Injuns fighting it up. Would swap tales with the youngins. But, well, I suppose if someone shot me, I'd be pretty vengeful too. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any? What's the use in telling sweet, happy tales if in they make you snooze? What's my future look like? I ain't looking for a traveling companion if that's what you mean. I do fine by myself, so just stick to minding your own. I'm in the mood for something. Well, that sure was a downer. Give me a good venture tale instead any day. My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw-flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said. Well, night's over. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way. Didn't understand all your stories, but I'd gladly listen to more if I see you again. The tramping life suits me just fine, every day's a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if and you know where to look.
Well, I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when
Outside the small thicket of apple trees, the phrase "tended to by John Chapman" is carved into a fence post. Nearby, a hound lies on its side, perfectly still. Flies buzz around its ears. But a grizzled man pauses at his digging to shoo them
I'm
off.
gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my toes burn low and my trains run out of track, I won't be no one else to dig my hole.
There's an extra shovel. With it, the two of you make short work of the grave. He tells you he stoops to the ground and lowers the pup into the earth. Tears flow freely. "I'll see him again in heaven," he tells you. "Our souls are bound by love." He wipes his eyes. "I don't think I can bear to stay here, though. Maybe I'll set out again."
Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
The edge of summer has turned the ocean choppy and misanthropic, and the skies miserably gray. Before you lie the instruments of her profession. There's tarot cards, Rider-Waite, but also Marseille for traditionalists, rosary beads and costume jewelry, and of course, the centerpiece, a great glass globe. With practiced theatricality, she goes directly for the crystal ball, letting her eyes unfocus as though she can see a great distance into it. She brings up names, places, asks if you've known someone called John, if you have a relative in Newark. You deflect her cold reading. What could she possibly know of your life? Your eyes, she says, her voice suddenly drained of the bassy drama. The words that come out of your mouth are not your own. They seem unwilling. The glass globe shatters. Your vision is hazy, and your body is not your own. You came far to get away from me, the voice lodged inside you says, but this one has a way of wandering. The fortune teller has collapsed, cowering. Consider your debt to me repaid. When you come to your senses, you're lying face down on the rough wood of the boardwalk, sore and weak. An empty patch of wood, cleaner than the surrounding planks, is all that remains of the fortune teller's tent. The engines belch black smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth. A broad-shouldered figure leans out over the rail, eyeing the skyscrapers on the horizon. Nearby, a man and a woman speak in low, urgent voices. He takes her wrist gently. She is weeping softly.
I wish you didn't have to go,
She says.
There's got to be work on some of those buildings going up.
His thumb skates over her pulse point.
I checked every day for a week. There ain't. I'll be back, though. Got your picture in my wallet, don't I? It's not forever.
The young man lowers his head to his beloved's before you can discreetly avert your eyes. clear, reflective shade of blue, unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth. The goat opens its mouth and wails, a protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke.
Land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night comes down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song.
The man is the color of mill dust. His smile creases his face like folds in dough. He gestures you inside the dilapidated structure and shouts over the sound of driving wheels.
You're welcome to sleep here. You don't want to rest by the river. Not in the evening. Insects.
The man shoves the broken door closed behind you. The mill is warm, and the air is heavy with the powder kicked up by your entrance. You realize how easy it would be to drift off on this pile of sacks to the loud but constant sound of the grinding wheels.
Well, I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my
Consciousness is elusive. Your limbs throb with a dull fatigue, and your eyes are sticky with dust. The man suddenly grips your legs and drags you toward the millstone.
You do not love my daughter. You will not have her. I will not let you hurt her.
His voice is pained, not angry.
Well, I'm gonna heft my spade above.
Your hand catches a flour sack printed with brightly colored flowers. A puff of flour makes you sneeze, and you wake. The mill is quiet. Its works long disconnected. In your hand is the faded remnant of what might once have been a bag or a piece of a dress.
Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm gone empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night comes down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. This will be.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody till we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he didn't make it through. The march I was on, the bonus army. It's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to suffer. Civilians will never... You know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling them anymore. Oh, come on. That doesn't sound real. Authority? The law? Well, I had a thought once, in the trenches. You and I, all of us, have the right to the pursuit of happiness. say I've held the Declaration myself, but does it say anything about having a right to achieve happiness? Do you know any happy stories? Hopeful ones? For a moment there, just a moment, I felt better about it all too. The past doesn't even feel like it happened. It feels like it's happening in when your memories come back to you, do they clutch at you? At your heart? So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. And that's what you think when you think of tragedy. Huh. My wishes come true? Well, if I could wish for anything. My brother Paul used to love scary stories. I don't mean to be rude, but civvies don't understand what real tragedy is. Travel. Well, this walk feels like a little bit of freedom. Tell me a happy story. Something. And that's what you think when you think of tragedy. Huh. Love? It was a real long time ago. I pulled a ribbon on her hair and her pigtails came undone and she tattletaled on me. I never really tried after that. The sun's coming up soon. I should get ready to I'm headed out this way next. Will our paths cross? If you see any others like me, treat them well. Invite them to share your fire, too. Even if none of us are whole, really. None of us have got what we're owed.
Tell my vagrant song. Ooh,
The mailman's uniform is dated and worn. He sits on the edge of the road, head in hands. He looks up as you approach. Can you help? Car clipped me. I think my legs... Well, I'd appreciate it if you could deliver this for me. He holds out a brown envelope. The letter's addressed to a James Gibson Sr., 120 J Street. But the city stymies you. The blocks run straight from I to K. You stop a man for directions, but he shakes his head and laughs. Someone's playing a joke on you. There's no J Street. Over here. A woman in a brown coat overheard your question. She steers you down an alley. Someone's chalked a big orange J on one wall. I thought Clovis was late. Go left up ahead. Old Man Gibson's the third on the right. As you round the corner, the world changes. J Street is a place out of time, like the city forgot an entire street a century ago and carried on around it, oblivious. Even the noise and bustle of D.C. can't penetrate this little pocket. The man who answers is ancient and stooped. He peers at the letter. I think it's from my son. I don't see so well anymore. Will you read it to me? You tear the letter open. It isn't good news. He fights it, but his face crumbles. Tears roll down his cheeks. It's better to know. I've been waiting a long time for this. His shaking hand takes the letter. Thank you for telling me. His clothes are expensive, but unkempt. A tailored jacket stretched and warped out of its best fit by long days on the road. His thinning frame weighs down the boxcar next to yours. You got a light, friend? You offer a match, which bends and nearly snaps as he scratches it against the pitted iron edge of the boxcar. Thanks, he mumbles, perching one last cigarette on his lip. Don't rightly know where I'm going. You notice how deeply wrinkled his clothes are. It's as though a huge hand plucked him from a high society party and crumpled him up like a sheet of paper. Don't rightly know how I got going either. They built a railway just past Missy Hudson's estate. A damned racket ruined our soiree. Might have been a few bottles of Armagnac too many when I walked down the tracks to tell them to keep it quiet. He drags on the cigarette, but you never see him exhale.
Sorry, friend, but I gotta ask you not to get no closer unless I can see your hands at all times. Look too clean to be one of us. But you don't look like the company sent you neither. Alright, come and share my fire spell. Don't linger. These hills is full of ears. Don't think just 'cause you can't see no one that you're safe. I'll give you cornbread. Don't be so sure of me neither. I need a laugh. Know any good jokes? Well, this seems like wishful thinking to me. The past, I remember looking between my mama's ankles down the road every evening. She'd be whispering. Still don't know if she were counting the workers or praying about them. Got any funny stories? Must have a couple. Come on, stranger. Tell me something true. Heaven? Honest pay for an honest day. Even now, I don't dare open my lips all the way around the words. When you tell me something sad, sometimes you just want a story that goes with how the world already is. This kind of sadness is where we all meet one another, on level ground. Sure, I know sadness. Sometimes I get to thinking that just because you're right doesn't mean you ever get your rights. Times like that, I feel like all them cold flecks are just settling in me. Like I'm gonna become part of the mountain's guts, one way or another. See anything exciting out there on the road? Mostly I just seen dogs. Stranger, miners tell me sadder stuff than that every day of the week. Travel? Well, next time you take a train, Take a peek on up at its beating heart. It's black breath. That's just what a mining man looks like inside him. Coal dust, smoke, and fire. Anyway, I need something to laugh about. Got any funny ones? Are you trying to scare me? Every man in the last meeting I ran could tell you a story scarier than that, right? Family. Well, they took my big brother out. He wasn't bigger than 10 years old. He's so big in my memory. He must have been such a small fella. Sun's up. I need to go. You look like someone who maybe ran a few times in your life, too. Look, you want to get involved, find me up this way. Won't be specific for my safety and yours. But if you want to find me, do it. Talk again about these things.
Muddling through the dark, you stumble into the path of the white deer. Its beauty strikes you at once. It is something otherworldly, beyond borders, a moon swimming in the void. Human shouts not far away break the spell. The deer's ears prick up. This thing is being hunted. You know a way out of here. As the hunter's cries get louder, you approach the deer carefully, palms outstretched. As you grow close, your features become clearer in the light of the deer's aura. It bolts into the path of an oncoming train.